Joining us now is former Speaker of the House and Vice Chair of the Trump transition team, Newt Gingrich. Mr. Speaker, John Kennedy said when he got into the White House, he said, "I wish I'd spent less time getting to know people to help me get elected and more time with people who would help me be president." Do you think Donald Trump is learning that?
Well, I think he's learning it, but I would say of John F. Kennedy that if you look how narrow his election was, if he'd spent more time with people telling him how to be president, he wouldn't have gotten through the election. So
first things first.
First things first, and you know, Trump pulled off one of the most amazing achievements in American history. Came out of nowhere. The only person not to have been a military officer or a public figure, a public elected official, only person in American history to win the presidency.
When so Eisenhower having been a public figure.
Yeah, I mean, right. you have generals, General Grant, General Washington, General Eisenhower.
You said that Donald Trump was saying that it's a bigger job than he thought. What does that mean?
I think that particularly when he went to the White House and was in the Oval Office and was beginning to realize that under our system, the full weight, for example, of national security is on one shoulder. It's not 50 people. It's the president, commander-in-chief. The degree to which people around the country, much as what you saw with saving 1,100 jobs at Carrier, the degree to which people around the country look to the president to try to make their lives better. I think he suddenly realized that, somebody said it was like the old story of the dog that caught a bus, and I said, no, this is like a dog that caught a convoy. I mean, there are so many ramifications. If you take, as he does, trying to truly move America into a different direction, then it is a remarkably important job, and one that means he's got to build a real team. He can't possibly do it by himself, and he's showing that he understands that.
You mentioned that it's all on one shoulder. That's why it seems odd, maybe, that he's not starving for intelligence information every day, wants the daily brief.
You know, I once had Secretary Rubin say to me, as Secretary of the Treasury, that during the financial crisis in Indonesia, he got more out of the Financial Times each morning than out of the CIA. And that he just thought, you know, you ought to be realistic about this. I have no idea what the current intelligence briefings are like, and I'm not denigrating them. But if you took the total number of foreign leaders that President-elect Trump has talked to in the last couple of weeks, I mean, he's clearly engaged in the world. He's clearly he's getting advice from Merkel. He's getting advice from a wide range of leaders from Abe in Japan. At the same time, he's got several people he trusts. I mean, I'm assuming that Flynn and McFarlane are, in fact, taking the briefings. And if they see something they think he needs to know, they'll come tell him.
You talked about it, the team around him. Incoming Chief of Staff Reince Priebus talked about the team of rivals as making the case there for Mitt Romney. You are not making the case for Mitt Romney. Why isn't that, though, a good team of rivals?
First of all, nobody in the Lincoln cabinet actively opposed his election up to Election Day. They were rivals until he got the nomination, and then they were all for him. So Romney doesn't quite fit that pattern. But second, you know, I'm very comfortable if given the amount of time he's put into this, if President-elect Trump says, I want Romney, I'm for Romney. I mean, he has spent more than enough time talking with Mitt, and Mitt had a good occasion yesterday in accepting the call from Taiwan to understand that President Trump is going to be his own leader in foreign policy, and he's looking for somebody to be his Secretary of State, not the State Department's. If he concludes that Romney can do the job best, I'm for Romney. What I'm impressed with is the patient way he's gone about this. He didn't jump in for Romney. He didn't jump in against him. He hasn't jumped in for Giuliani. And I can say, as tough as I've been in public, which has been very aggressive, deliberately, about Mitt, I've gotten no blowback from anybody, including Reince. I mean, there's a sense of you're allowed to have your own opinion. This is like The Apprentice. When we get to a decision, we ought to all be on the same team. But until that decision's made, you know, it's a fair conversation.
Speaking of The Apprentice and TV and having opinions and expressing them there, which is more effective with Donald Trump? Something you tell him in person or something you say on TV?
As a general rule, something you tell him in person. On occasion, it helps to reinforce that on TV.
Because it seems like some people, including Kellyanne Conway, who's his former campaign manager, are sending him messages through the TV, or maybe we've got that wrong.
Or sometimes, you know, you're also communicating to the millions and millions of people. I mean, Clifton and I have been out doing book signings. We were in Williamsburg yesterday. People walk up to us routinely and say, I don't want Mitt. Well, those people deserve to know that there is a substantial positive part of the Trump operation that hears their concerns. That doesn't mean that in the end they shouldn't be for the president-elect if he makes a decision for Romney, but they deserve to know that there are people hearing them.
Yeah. On the carrier action that Donald Trump took, why is it the role of the president to negotiate? Wouldn't Republicans or conservatives have said traditionally, well, he's picking winners and losers, he's meddling in the free market? Why is that not what he's doing?
Well, first of all, he's picking winners among Americans. I mean, it's a very simple model. 1,100 families are going to have a better Christmas, and all of the people around them are going to have a better Christmas. The local dry cleaner, the local grocery store are all going to have a better Christmas. Now, you can ask the question, should the president-elect, and I think it's amazing he did this before he got sworn in. I mean, should the president-elect pick up the phone, call the CEO and say, you know, we're going to change things. Yeah. Give us a shot here. Let us try to fix this.
No perverse incentives, though, to a company, you know, that now says, well, I can get $7 million in tax breaks if I just say I'm going to go to Mexico.
Well, they may. Look, there are 50 governors who worked overtime to get people to invest in their states. In the new world economy, maybe you better have a president who behaves like a governor and says, hey, I'm competing with Mexico, and I'm competing with China, and I'm competing with Germany, and I want that factory here. Now, what do I got to do to get that factory here?
All right, Newt Gingrich, thanks so much for being with us.